All right, let's take a moment to review the interface in Procreate. The interface is actually pretty minimal, but don't let that fool you because there's a lot going on in this tool. The wrench icon, we'll start with that. This houses all of your key action functions. So you can add photos or files here. You also have your cut, copy, and paste here. Then right next to it, you have your canvas options. So this is where you can resize your canvas. And then you can also share your project. So you can export it in a variety of different file types. And you also have time-lapse replay here. So as you're capturing things on your canvas, it's being recorded and then you can replay it. Really wonderful feature of this tool. Next to that, we have our interface preferences. So this is where you can customize a couple of things to really match how you want the tool to look and feel for you. And then lastly, we have what I call the help desk. So this is where I go if I don't know how to do something. Specifically, I like to look at the Procreate handbook because it's a free resource, and if you don't know how to do something, they've really covered it. They go into this tool in a lot more detail than what I'm going to do in this quick video. So I highly recommend checking that out. Next to the wrench icon, we have this little wand icon, and that has to do with the adjustments that you have access to. So there's a lot in here. You can do these really fun blurs. You can also change your color balance here, change the hue, saturation, or brightness. And then next to that wand tool, we have an S looking icon, and it stands for the selection tool. So this is where you can select something on the canvas and adjust it, modify it. So if I write something on my canvas, okay, nice thick letters, and then I use the selection tool here and I just draw right around that, you'll see this dashed line form, and that means that that is what I have selected. So then I can modify it or adjust it. I have some options here along the bottom, so I can copy and paste it here. Or I can move it. Usually when I select something, I want to move it around the canvas. So the move tool is right next to the selection tool. It's this little arrow icon. And now that I've selected the move tool, I can just move this anywhere I'd like. When I have it in the right spot, I just tap on the move tool again, and then it's placed on the canvas. So that's your selection tool and your move tool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and just go back. And while we're here, this is your undo and redo button area. So I can just tap on those and it will undo those actions. This is also the area where you can change your brush size. So you can see that the size of the brush I currently have is getting bigger or smaller. So this slider down here has to do with opacity. So that will make your mark darker or lighter and more transparent. And right in between these two sliders, there's a little button here, and that's your color dropper tool. There's nothing currently on my canvas for it to pick up except for the white background. So if I just drew something with my brush really quick and then selected that color dropper tool, it will pick up this color and it will immediately change my color dropper to the color that I select here. Okay, so that goes over this little bar of options here. Over on the top right-hand side, you have your brushes, you have your smudge tool, and you have your eraser. And just note that all three of these tools use the same set of brushes. So I know that can be a little bit confusing at first, but it's actually pretty cool. So if I open up my brushes, Procreate comes preloaded with a ton of different brushes. It's really cool. Also kind of overwhelming, but hey, at least you have options. I just created my own set of brushes because I was finding it really hard to find the right brushes for digital note taking. So I just created a custom set of brushes that I use, which you can actually pick up a copy of. So those are available to you. For the brush tool, this is what you'll be writing with. The smudge tool is pretty cool. You essentially have options to kind of blur things. Think about it almost like you're using charcoal or pastels, so you can really smudge. And you can still use the same kinds of brushes that you would use to write with. Let me demo this. So here's how the brush would write normally. with the brush tool, and if I go to the smudge tool and I select that same brush and I go over it, it's just gonna smudge that mark that I just made. So do I use this for digital note taking? No, I really don't. I feel like people who do digital painting or do any kind of illustration work in this tool, they probably use this a lot more because it gives them that really nice texture. But for digital notes, I don't really use this. All right, and then the eraser tool also uses the same kinds of brushes. So if you want to erase with the same kind of brush that you wrote with, so you get that consistency in your mark, you have that option. So I'm using that same brush to erase with. I might want to make it a little bit bigger. So here's my eraser tool. All right, so those are the tools that you have up here. Next to that, you have your layers menu. And we don't have that many layers going on here right now since this is a new project, but this is where I can add layers. And then lastly, you have your color palette menu where you have all of your color palettes or maybe the start of your color palettes. You can see I have some that I've used from previous projects. So this is where you can access different colors and customize your color palettes. All right, that completes our interface overview in Procreate.